So people, if you're, yeah, we are still learning our new tool. We are still discovering all the possibilities of it. But just let us know on the chat. We should see it here if you can see and hear us. We are here on the episode 90 of umbraCoffee. Callum, 10 episodes only to 100.
Oh, what are we going to do after that? Retire?
Yeah, retire. We are already set up, and our career is just solved. But today we are joined by our amazing guests straight from Denmark. Søren, hi. How are you? All good?
I'm all good. It's been a great week so far. Getting a lot of good reception on Twitter for the DTG release. So.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we invited you, just particularly in this week, because you've already started talking about it. The big release, probably one of the most awaited ones, and we've been just chatting before going live here that when we were talking in all agencies, companies, and communities, when we were talking about migrating to V8 fully or starting new projects, the packages were usually mentioned as a blockage or awaiting point, and DTG was one of the most mentioned one. So big high five here. The biggest one I already sent on Twitter, but yeah, great work. Maybe starting from here, you can tell us more and our viewers how the process looked like, because we also titled this episode as "Teamwork Makes a Dream Work," because it was not a solo act. It was not only a simple pull request. It was a communication with the package creators, and which resulted in the change of the package owner, right?
Yeah, it was, and.
Tell us more.
It's in no way a solo effort. This I've got so much help at first from Sebastian, who made the initial PR. Then I took over and had a lot of help from Bjarne Fürstenborg and Arnold Fisser. So and even when 811 was released, a guy quickly, don't remember his name, sorry about that. A guy quickly jumped in and made a pull request to my repo, making it work with 8.1. So. It's just been an amazing effort, and luckily for this kind of package, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. So most of the groundwork had already been done. Also, why I had no trouble using all the nightly versions in our new V8 projects, because Doctile Grid Editor was probably the major blocking stone for us to go to V8. So
I've experienced the exact same thing, and I've been using the alphas and things for many weeks on projects, and have to say, yeah, it's been incredibly good. Very few issues, and it's actually been a lifesaver, because it would have been a staple for a V7 site, and even in migrating a site over, it creates problems, doesn't it, if you've not got something this fundamental there.
Yeah. And actually, I just yesterday or the day before, I tried migrating a V7 site to V8, where we used the Doctile Grid Editor, and it just works. So
yeah, it does. I can confirm.
+1 for that.
But that's a good transfer to another topic about migration, because as a kind of highlight of community efforts, you had a chat as well about migrating V7 to V8, and you both guys were involved in this thread. And Callum, we all know, and we've mentioned it probably in the past, that you've released a repo with a tool called, can you remember the name of this repo? Umbraco. What was the name of it? Golden Gate. Oh yeah, Golden Gate.
Golden Gate.
Yes, and you both shared a lot of insights, useful for everyone who would like to migrate to V8, right? And it's still very important topic, and many people are upgrading their sites. Is there anything else what you want to combine, maybe as a documentation or maybe instructions? Sorry, are you planning to contribute to Callum's repo to add some more notes there?
Probably. I haven't checked it out myself. I think you were missing a few commits. Last few days. So I'm probably going to look it over once more to see if there's anything I can use. My migration tasks for now has been trying out what works and what doesn't work, and I've been seeing some problems migrating sites that were built before UDIs, for example. And that's also what I wrote in the Twitter thread. And I'm not sure that the migration handles them all perfectly. I think there could be some issues on multi-node tree pickers. And also definitely there is going to be issues when migrating doc-type grid or stack content nodes when you have the old pickers, because I'm pretty sure the migrator doesn't pick up those.
Especially this, which actually really killed me for a bit, was I have doc-type grid editor with nested content properties inside one of the editors, and inside one of those I had a drop-down picker, which is pretty simple, except the drop-down picker in V7 stored pre-value IDs, and in V8 it stores the actual value that you've picked.
Yeah.
And in V7 it was a single string that it would store, and in V8 it's a string array. So and there's no transformation for that because it's just so deeply nested in the JSON that it's gonna cause problems. But I keep saying this to Marcin, you know this, you need to document all of this stuff, because I have a big bulky list of notes of all the things I did, and I will submit pull requests for documentation or even fixes to get this done.
I'm becoming a documentation, guru or dictator inside of my team. I'm chasing everyone to document stuff. But as a remote worker, for me it's very important to just don't lose the track and have a reference point anytime when something is starting. And for you as well, probably it's easier to just jump back and update the documentation rather than scan through the notes and stuff like that every time when something occurs.
Yeah, and I have to remind myself about it every time because I keep forgetting it.
Yeah. And Søren, you've mentioned before we've started the live stream about some plans of extending the work around the DTG and some other packages. Maybe it's start from here.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, I demoed, I think it's a year ago, a tree editor or a tree controller for handling doc-type editors. And at that time, I didn't want to release it because it was so tightly coupled to the way that we use the grid at Ecreo. But I think I've found a way to make it configurable instead. So I'm probably going to put that one out, just also because then maybe people can chip in and make some PRs or note some stuff that could be made better. So this is probably going out in. I'm not putting time on that. So
it is recorded. Yeah, it is recorded.
Yeah, it is recorded. So it's probably going out sometime.
So by Monday, right?
Yeah, no, not I have to go to a hockey tournament this weekend with my son, so probably not going to be much Umbraco work done. So.
Cool. Yeah, anything else on the roadmap or inside of your head in terms of plans for?
Previously we used for V7 solutions as also one of the packages that we really miss in V8 is there's a pretty old one called full text search. I don't remember who made it. I've picked a few of the parts from it apart, so I have it working in V8 right now. It's pretty slimmed down in comparison with the V7 version. So I'm testing it out, seeing where does it break right now, and that's probably going out too. So
nice.
Awesome. You're on fire. Nice. I said this last week a million times. I told like everyone that they're on fire, but this week I think my one and only they're on fire.
Highline, yeah.
You're on fire.
Yeah. But also it was not a silent week in terms of other Umbraco releases, and even if we're talking only about Umbraco also released new versions this week. We were able to see the new release of Umbraco 8.1.3 and 7.15.2. So with some bug fixes, which will help in our implementations and projects for sure. And also speaking about the team efforts, I wanted to highlight one tweet which I found in the morning that some of the maybe not an active or very visible community member discovered the power of Umbraco community basically, and it highlighted it on Twitter because he found the solution for the issue after 2 days with some immediate comments and feedback from the community, and I'm more than sure that maybe Kenneth fixed this issue. I had the same situation.
It wasn't. It was Stephen. Steve below. Man. I was going to say Ken's let the balls drop a bit there. If he's not.
Yeah, because I had the same situation a week ago, right? I've submitted an idea, then someone remembered that it was fixed for V7. Kenneth moved the pull request to the solution, and it was merged.
Ken did a fix for me last week. I mentioned something on umbraCoffee, and 30 minutes later, it had been pull requested.
In the Oktoberfest last year, I had some sort of competition with Ken going on around pull request. I'm pretty sure that he also was monitoring the issue tracker for every simple issue. And there was one issue that said, "Oh, I have to make this before him." So I think it was fixed in 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, but really, it's amazing, and it just proves that every voice is listened, and every voice is important. And seeing things like, for example, efforts like that one. Anders, who is of course also known in the community, suggested some of the ideas to handling media files in Umbraco. Niels officially approved and asked for this to be done, and other voices such as community members just saying what's required, what's needed, and then discussions are happening. Maybe use it as a transfer to the topic of RFCs, because some of them are coming to the end of the comment period. And once again, I must admit that I was not following RFCs too much in this week, especially. But guys, did you participate in any of the recent discussions there?
Not recent, but I think I made a few comments on the blog-based editor. Also as the discussion at Code Garden this summer, where we discussed the new grid editor, and I really like the possibility to have config besides the content, and also the way it should be structured. So
yeah, same answer for me.
I can find the link to the RFCs right now, but of course we will share them in the video description. But also it's something what started today. I don't know if you've already seen it. It's discussion started by Nick Remington about unification of content pickers. And in my opinion, it's a nice idea, because it's a way to simplify process for handling pickers in general. And I tried to remember myself when was the last time when I used single content picker or media picker instead of multi-node tree picker, which is in Umbraco, and it was done only for strongly typing objects, like in the past it was usually done. So yeah, it's a discussion on how we can make it simpler. And as usual, once again, community voice is very important. And feature request created 2 hours ago has already some very nice, useful comments and inputs from the community.
This is something that's been on my in my mind for a few years, actually. The idea that we've got so many different ways of picking content, and it's it's a bit complicated. And then if you look at the configuration of these pickers, they're all just slightly different, and some of them you can do some things and some of them you can do other things, and it doesn't really make too much sense. So it would be awesome to see like a single entity picker that lets you pick media, members, content, whatever you need. It'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I hope it's traction.
Yeah, and once again, something what was started as a Umbraco initiative also evolved to other CMSs this time as well. I want to highlight the Jeroen and his discussion about Models Builder, because it relates with Models Builder, because the Models Builder was the one who generated the strongly typed objects here. And I've seen the tweet. I don't know if you've seen it as well. That this approach was migrated, Jeroen is right now working on it, to migrate it to Sidecore tools, which he uses when working with the Sidecore development. So Umbraco teaches and inspires other tools as well. That's great to see, in my opinion. Okay, let's jump to maybe something else, because we've been discussing about trainings. It's a very busy week in terms of trainings. A lot of people share their new certification badges and levels and stuff like that, and it's still ongoing. I don't know if today is one more training day, but Gabriel was sharing a lot of insights about the trainings. And do you guys participated in any? I know we've been talking with Søren before that we are still awaiting the bridging courses. Callum, did you take any bridging courses?
I've not done them. I've bought them. I have not done them yet. I kind of need to find the time at some point. But I have a training booked later in the year, the security course, which I will probably be with Gabriel, I guess. Be good fun.
Yeah.
He's been. He seems. There seems to be a lot of really good feedback about the trainings he's done this past week. I know Carol and a few others have been doing them and tweeting about it. Yeah. High five, Gabriel.
Yeah, and it looks like this way of handling trainings works really well because people from different parts of the world can gather together and just participate in the single training.
Yeah.
And speaking about gathering people, maybe let's dive into the events topic.
Callum,
I'm trying. I know you are busy around UK festival preparation. I also know that I'm too lazy in PL festival preparations. I still need to push it forward. But yeah, Callum, you are finishing the process of early bird ticket sales, right?
Two big things finishing this week. We have
two big things.
We have the voting for sessions that finishes on next Friday, I think, or something. Next Friday, it's on the 31st, and we have early bird tickets closing the day after. So that's your last chance to get a 15% discount on a ticket. And yeah, I'm getting really excited about this now. Every time I have to do any bit of planning, I just get really, really excited about the kind of stuff coming. And we have some awesome sessions lined up.
Yeah.
Looking at the, I mean, I shouldn't, but looking at the ones that are winning right now, I think we're going to have a truly kick-ass lineup this year.
Of course, you don't want to tease and share anything from the insights, but we can just ask once again for people to vote for sessions, right? Because that's the community voice which creates the agenda this year.
Make the event better. Make it exactly what you want it to be.
That's amazing. Cool. And another events, this month's Script release is highlighting some of the upcoming festivals, and it's pretty close to the first one, 19 September, Sweden Festival, pretty close one, and DK Festival. And Søren, you've said that you booked this one, right? We are going to attend.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the two first ones, which are happening post summertime. And the next ones are also really, really cool. And some of the great articles highlighted here. I didn't see all of them yet.
Did I even see Callum Festival mentioned right at the bottom there? I did.
Yeah. Callum Festival.
That's
so
coming up.
yeah, that's the next one. And just from the insights which I can share, the tickets are going on sale next week, and we are closing the call for proposal also next week, next Friday. So if anyone wants to still come as a speaker, feel free to submit ideas. But we also had some meetups this week. I was not involved in any, but there was a one in Manchester, and Glasgow meetup probably happened as well, if I remember correctly. But one thing which I spotted while I was scanning through the Twitter feeds of the Umbraco community, it was a talk shared by Tom Madden, and it was about his first 4 months with Umbraco V8. And I scanned through the code, through the slides for a second, and it looks like a really great gathering of insights. And the first slide is misleading because it's a stolen template from Dave. But it's a really great talk and highlighting the whole experience with V8. And once again, a great competition of knowledge of someone who already did it and highlighted what might be the issue and how to solve some of the issues which already happened and are highlighted. So that, shortening the path for Umbraco developers and everyone else who wants to start with V8 and didn't do that yet. Nice. And guys, you've already did a lot of sharing and exploring, right, with V8.
Yeah. And I recognize a lot of the points that Tom makes in his slides. So it was just, he did it. He did that too. So
yeah, I also tried to use the content migration tool once, and all the steps which I've highlighted was the ones which Callum already mentioned in his discoveries. So yeah, that's exactly, if we can shorten the path for someone else who will do it now or then, it's something what we can at least do right now, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And about releases, we've already mentioned DocType Grid Editor. It's there, it's ready. to be tested.
I believe you released a couple of versions this week. I think there was a beta and then the final one as well.
Yeah, the beta was just to make sure that Avaya was working. It's the first project I've done with that.
This really annoyed me though, because I went and checked at this time went and checked some NuGet updates, and it was like, oh, there's a beta for this, not the alpha. Okay, I'll install that. And then the next day, I think it was even later that day, there was.
I think it was a few hours later.
Yeah.
Maybe let's try to engage community. If there is someone who is watching us who was not using doctype grid editor, maybe let us know, because maybe it's something what we need to pay more attention to. I remember some of the I don't know surprises by people on the trainings, because they didn't know about existence of doctype grid editor or LabLender or packages like that. So feel free to let us know if you haven't used any of those to strongly typed or to use document types for your grid editors, and maybe we can do something with it later to help you dive into this world. The second one was not a package; it was just one more tease from Kevin Jump. About the auto completion for Umbraco back office UI elements in Visual Studio. Something what was highlighted more than once by package creators mostly. There was a lack of information at some point about the directives in general, right? And people were just copying and pasting them from different packages which were up to date. And Kevin just made a quick extension for Visual Studio called AmpSense, and I think that it's something what will save a lot of time for anyone who will be building the packages.
I could have needed this week. I was doing some stuff with Angular in the back office, and couldn't for the life of me remember what the directive was called, and had to go and poke around the Umbraco source to actually find it. But when you don't know what you're looking for, that's also quite tough.
Yeah, and another great release, and not single release. I also remember that Arnold released more than one version during this week.
1.1
It's
1.2.
Yeah, Gmaps for V8. Some of the new features and fixes and improvements. So yeah, one more package which was mentioned as something what was blocking people from using V8 right now, ready, steady, and possible to be used. And an upgrade from Anders for a Skybrat package, Skybrat redirects package for a V8 as well, and Alpha 004. I've already tested the previous Alpha and was more than Alpha. It's stable version.
Yeah, so I'm also using that the Alpha 3 in production, and then went to do the Umbraco upgrade earlier this week, and it all blew up because the very first issue that's actually fixed in this was fixed, but Anders thought it was released and hadn't been, and it's it runs on app start rather than like after Umbraco's booted up.
Okay.
But it's using Umbraco context and all this stuff, so it goes, I don't know what to do, and then your site won't start, and then you can't upgrade, and then it's like
that's the reason.
Finally, after many years, like this was an issue that I think Matt Wise created, or pull request even, in 2017, which was when you install the package via NuGet, also add the HTTP module in the web config automatically. Previously, you had to manually add it, otherwise it wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'd do an Umbraco upgrade and it would get wiped out, and you'd go, "Why my reader isn't working?" Now that doesn't happen, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. Cool. And we had some polls already also shared this week. And I don't know, guys, if you've seen this about the validation from Niels. And how often do you add validation beyond mandatory for fields? And interesting that it's a really rare situation. And I've answered it as rare because I'm not using it very often. But there were some cases where people were looking for those solutions. And what about you? Which answer would you place here?
Yeah, I put the rare less than 10%. I think I have a comment further below saying less than 0.1%.
Oh yeah,
I have done it, and I will probably do it again sometime. So
never.
The time I've actually used the validation, I think, was for an email. So you put an email address in a string in a specific format, but actually that's the only time I've used it. And my view on this is that beyond the, I feel like that validation dropdown is almost redundant, and that this validation should be handled by the data type itself. So the actual editor is responsible for whatever. When you create a text field in the back office, maybe you have an option there to say this should be an email address or this should be a URL. And then we open up a bit more flexibility for other types in future. Like you could have an email data type.
Email data type rather than regex validation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably where it's all going, and that's why those answers are really helpful for decisions like that, because if it's not the feature which is used very, very often, it might be something what can be easily fixed by using a new editor, for example.
Yeah.
And really, really good to see that. Also, some other polls. Umbraco leads and Matthew released the poll to help them decide which logo should they take for their community.
I see the results are closer than Brexit right now.
So yeah, there is no simple answer here. So definitely there are 2 days left to help Umbraco leads to pick the logo. So feel free to participate.
Well,
and the last
choice, Marcin. Which would you choose?
I choose the version 2.
Yeah,
I like
me
this
too.
this all.
I chose version 1. I like the U.
Yeah, me too. But I just thought it looked wonky, so I picked version 2.
So at least we were also divided into opinions. So we are community, please help, please help. And the last call for action when it comes to community was from Owen, and it was about asking questions for Umbraco MVPs. So that's something what Owen was working on previously, and he wants to ask some questions maybe which some people want to always ask the MVPs, but maybe didn't have an option or chance to do that. And speaking about MVPs, we've also seen a blog post from Novisel, and it is a kind of interview with Ismail, who was awarded with the MVP status this year, and it's highlighting how to become an MVP from visibility of perspective, from Ismail as an MVP right now. And that was from the call for actions from the community. Do you have anything else? What's come to your mind, or any other questions or doubts which you want to solve using the power of community right now?
Yeah, I saw Neil started a topic on our yesterday about how to find the first descendant of a specific dog type. He's trying to see how the community tries to solve this probably everyday problem. See if Umbraco can be made better in that way. It's pretty interesting to see the answers.
Nice. I didn't see that. I'm gonna chime in with my view. I reckon I've probably got 3 different ways in one website.
Yeah, me too.
And I also remember
it's all because I'm subscribing to the Umbraco 8 channel on our from the first go ahead, because there was a lot of good information in there, and just haven't unsubscribed yet. So.
Well, that's a great pro tip for someone who wants to be up to date in our discussions.
Yeah. Nice.
But also speaking about Niels and some of the upcoming things, we were teased by Unicorner idea.
It's coming back.
It's coming back. No one knows when and how, but it's great to see that another ideas are coming back to make more probably communication, and also reveals coming straight from Umbraco HQ to the community using the friendly video format, which we are using here as well.
I think this Unicorner is actually going to decide what of the poll that Niels did last week on if you could change one thing, fix one thing in our next sprint, what would it be? I think this is where they're going to decide that. Speaking with Niels last week, there's too many good ones to choose, so it's going to be a nice, tough decision. But maybe, speculating here, maybe we'll see Unicorner on Monday. They normally were releasing them on Mondays, weren't they? And then recording like a Thursday or a Friday. So maybe Monday.
Maybe. Let's see. So yeah, we've mentioned the RFCs. We've mentioned the some of the fine changes in terms of packages which affected some of the other actions. There were also some blogs from HQ. And did you read any of them? I'm speaking about documentation, and also the second one was about data layer. Maybe I can.
I saw the documentation one.
Me too. I also saw the data layer. I didn't read it. I think all this analytics stuff is going way over my head. So.
Yeah, but once again, Umbraco did a great job with sharing some technical knowledge, not only stats and data, which are here, by the way, and are very impressive. Did you know that more than 300 people have contributed to the documentation? That's a community effort, right? And Sophie teased and released some details about documentation as a post-summer upgrade, and still highlighted some of the key elements. And we've all seen probably a great docs additions added by Warren, for example, right, about scheduled tasks and some other aspects in umbraCo V8 implementations, particularly here. But yeah, it's all highlighted here. There are all links to the new additions which were recently added to the documentation. But yeah, 300 people contributing to the docs. It's getting better and better with every day, and it's another proof that all of the process works better.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff going on in the documentation at the moment. Just these articles, every link in there is good to know, and every article is almost something like I should have known that before. So so many good.
I think that there are still some hidden bits which needs to be documented, so there's a lot of room to contribute as well. It's not something what will end at any stage, because documentation needs to be evolving. And one of the things which is really interesting is a style guide for documentation. So it's an RFC to be discussed about the guiding for the styles of the documentation. Really
and I guess this will help more people contribute.
Yeah, and make the contributions easier, because not everything will be possible to be different from other bits of documentation. But if there will be a style guide or template, whatever else, it will be helpful. And this blog post is on my wait list. So developer's guide to the data layer. So once again, the big post with a lot of technical details, backgrounds, definitions of integrations, really cool information, and I still need to read it.
I need to read that too. That looks great.
And that's all from my list, at least. Once again, a lot of things happening during the week. And amazing things ahead.
The community's come back from their holidays now. They're all waking up again.
So Søren, do you want to add anything else from your side?
No, just going to have a relax on the release and work on some new great stuff. So
cool. And we have some people who weren't ever using DTG. Owen admitted that he didn't use it yet. So definitely there is a room to share more about it, and maybe share some examples using the V8 and new toys on the market. So that's cool. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your amazing work with this package migration and any other ideas which are coming to your mind and releases soon. We didn't promise any date, but we are all expecting them to happen.
I heard
Monday. Yeah, Monday. Yeah, some Monday.
So we promised Monday. Yeah, everyone heard that, right?
Yeah, some Monday. Might get early and be some Friday instead.
I will use our powerful toy to do this as a banner. So Monday it is. And yeah, thank you all for joining us this Friday. Have a great rest of the day. And UK has a bank holiday on Monday, right? Callum, did you forget about bank holiday?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then the release is off.
No.
But not Denmark. Not any part of the world. So yeah, enjoy your longer weekend. All the fellow Umbracians from UK. Thanks, Søren, once again for joining us, and see you all next Friday.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. And broadcast.